Hello.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Alrighty. So everyone is here, Mus.
Is it?
Yeah, Dini won't be joining us today.
Oh, okay.
Uh, yeah, maybe she's on a vacation. I don't know.
It's
So what I wanted us to talk about today was uh healthy foundations uh for like healthy
mm,
relationships. Because I think uh a lot of like what constitutes two people being in a healthy relationship with each other
mm-hmm.
has to do with self. So uh, if you don't have that way, you can have like a healthy relationship with anyone else, whether it be a friendship or a mother daughter or father son
Mm,
type of situation. I just think if we don't have healthy relationships with self, then uh, it's never gonna work because I always say, "What
it's
you
true.
can't give what you don't have." So uh, a lot of people keep saying that uh, I
Mm,
gave and I gave and I gave or whatnot, but like when you assess it, it's like, but uh, the things you demand or like the things you say you are giving, like
mm,
you are not in possession of them. So what I wanted to ask you, Doc, was uh, what are like some of the indicators that one has a healthy relationship with self?
What are the what?
What are some of the things that
Mm,
like you can use as a guideline that shows you like, okay, I am in a healthy relationship with myself?
um,
Yes.
that's a difficult question.
mm.
Or like what constitutes like having a healthy relationship with self? Or uh how can I like cultivate a
Mm,
healthy relationship with myself?
I feel like for me, I'll say lessening your insecurities somehow will improve like your relationship with yourself. Mm-hmm.
So what I was saying was I agree, and I think that uh like our own like insecurities give birth to like the trust issues and uh us being possessive in the name of I'm just overprotective and like the people who like uh like, the people who justify like being jealous as um I just love you so much and I don't want to share you with anybody else and I get jealous, you know,
mm.
that line of explanation.
That's,
Mm.
I think then
Mm?
it then goes back to it goes back to you maybe not knowing yourself that well because if you know yourself and know that you are a possessive or a jealous person,
Yeah.
then if you know the root of that and perhaps where things gone wrong, you'd probably find ways to try to fix that so that it does not then affect
Mm.
your relationships with someone else. So I
Mm.
think it would go back to lack of knowledge of self, these
Mm.
insecurities that one has.
Mm-hmm.
So uh
Denial is also a part of everything because Yeah. Some people are
Mm.
just in denial about like who they really are.
That's true. That's true. That's very true.
Now I forgot what I wanted to ask. What did I ask you? I am getting old. The closer I get to 30, the more like it was just on the tip of my tongue.
That
Mm.
Alzheimer's is kicking in. Eh?
Alzheimer's, dementia, bro. Yo,
Then I feel
it,
it sometimes. I feel it kicking in. Yo, yo, yo.
it's
Lately,
bad.
joke,
Mm.
bruh.
You know what I
Yeah.
did yesterday?
Mm-mm.
I removed the memory stick from behind the TV and then I
Mm.
put it in my pocket. I think I spent 30 minutes looking for it, taking it out of my pocket. I literally had it in my hand and I spent 30 minutes looking for something, put it back in
Wow.
my pocket. And then probably like 10 minutes later, I was like, wait a minute. This is what I've been searching for. So it's really pretty bad.
This is very
Yeah.
dangerous, Paul, because now you're gonna start having kids and then you're gonna forget their names.
Yeah. Imagine that.
I'll 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 name them like the kids next door. Or what was that show? Number one, Peter Five.
Mm.
I think that way at least I'll be able to remember them.
Mm.
That's true.
Oh, I think I remember what I wanted to ask.
Sure.
It was uh in relation to uh the lurking na, the insecurities.
Mm.
And I wanted to ask uh for the person who like might not know where like it stems from,
Mm.
uh what are like the in general the like most overwhelming how do I put this? Where do most people's insecurities come from?
So I think if if we look back on our previous podcast,
Mm,
um, we'll also I think we did kind of touch on this. So usually, I think I said what influences our relationship, our romantic relationship, is the relationship that we had as young kids with our caregivers. For
mm,
example, um, maybe mom wasn't as affectionate as as a toddler. That
mm,
will probably affect how you as an old person or as an adult become in relationship. You might not be affectionate at all. You might struggle with affection, or you might be too affectionate. So it's gonna be almost polar. You might fall on this end, or you might fall on the other hand. So
okay.
that's where we can always look at or try to. We would start there to try to look where does this behavior in this relationship come from, or how was your relationship with your mom? Growing up, my mom wasn't that affectionate, or my father was not very affectionate. Then
So but
perhaps we can. Mm,
in relation to like insecurity,
mm,
uh so most people, okay, when we talk of insecurity, because like insecurity is such a broad thing, like it's self-worth, and
mm,
like within that we find like a person might not feel good about what they look like, might not feel uh good about like like just themselves as a person, you know personality wise. They might
mm-hmm,
feel like I'm not smart enough, or I'm not, it's all just like not enough, I guess, you know,
mm-hmm.
like they feel like they fall short. So specifically in relation to that, uh,
Insecurity. Mm,
insecurity, uh, like when we go to like you said, or like we need to go and look at like our like primary relationships as kids, you know. And now what I've noticed is like these things tend to be like a ripple effect of things, you know. It when I look back at certain things, like you can't blame it on like your parents because like they parenting the way they were parented, you know, and like if you look at it, they might have like the same deficiencies as you have. Like I said, you can't give what you don't have, you know. So they also didn't have it, so there's no way they can pass it on to you. Now we have to look at your grandparents. So it's all like we gonna trace back to who knows where if we take that route, like in terms of these things. So for someone, so it's basically like okay, uh, we get it from our parents probably, but like for someone who does find themselves in the situation where like at least they are able to recognize that okay, I am an insecure person. How does that person now like proceed to work on it? What are like some of the tools that like they can now use to like start focusing on them and like building this sense of worth that they can now like pass on to like the next generation so that like their kids won't have like the same problem they had and their parents had and their grandparents had and all that.
Yeah, I think it would be a long process for one to then start saying, I'm gonna break this cycle. So from here
Mm-hmm.
onwards, I want to be someone who is um l- less insecure. I want to now be a parent who's going to parent in this proper manner so that it doesn't affect my children. So now I think to go forward, other than to say that one now needs to start learning how to trust or to be less insecure.
Mm.
From where I'm standing, I'd have to point to therapy to say that I think one has to now really say, I would have to now see someone professionally who's going to now teach me how to be less insecure. Because if we have to look at insecurity, it might not only manifest in a romantic relationship, it might even manifest in your friendship relationship, it might manifest in, in other
Yeah,
aspects of your life.
it, it generally does spill over into like all your other relationships. Like even if like your friend has like other friends, you tend to be jealous and
True.
feel, you know, like, you always feel like uh caring if like the people you love are like doing something with other people. You always tend to find yourself thinking, or like, okay, like maybe our friendship is ending, or like something is wrong in our relationship, and like you tend to be the like one of those people who never like do something just for the sake of it. You always like expect reciprocation, you know. Like
That's true.
for example is like if I buy you a smoothie today, best believe I'm expecting you to buy me a smoothie tomorrow. It's not as much about the smoothie, but like about needing validation, like that me and you are on the same page. Like, you know, uh, I mean to you as much as you mean to me, you
Yes.
know. And like what I've noticed is like usually like the other party, they can sense like this expectation and it puts a lot of pressure on them, you know.
Yes.
And people like people love you there, but then like people can love you and still feel like because of like your intensity, that which you do things with, because like they sort of afraid that they will never be able to match your intensity in this, uh they then like, you know, back off of the friendship or the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's true.
That that's very true. So I think then yes, one would then have to actually relearn, and to relearn it, you might have to. That's why I'm referring to therapy, because you might find that then you have to almost do role plays with your therapist, where you almost are acting out relationships, and then you are relearning some of these things, which is which is quite a
Mm.
long journey. It's going to take quite some time, because if it's a pattern which started from when you were a child.
And I feel like also reflecting, man. I feel like if
Mm,
you start reflecting on, because a lot of the times when we get out of any relation with
Mm,
anyone, like a lot of people will always tell you what the other person did wrong. It's like, no, but this
absolutely,
person did
yes.
this and this and this and this to me, and this is where I
Mm,
feel wronged, but they won't say what they did wrong. And I feel like that is you not reflecting on yourself. So you might not realize what you did wrong because, like, no one is an angel. I feel like in any relation, we
that's
both
true.
have a part to play.
Mm,
Just because now your faults are like more visible than mine because mine was like behind, in like in back doors and stuff. Now I
mm,
point fingers instead of reflecting on myself. And if I start doing that, I will be able to know that, okay, this is what I struggle with and what are the ways that how can I actually minimize this so that it does not affect my next relationship? You're actually overbearing and you're controlling and you're all
mm,
of these things that are not very desirable. Yes, you're a good person, but your toxic traits are never fixed. So you find people leaving you most of the times. And then that adds on to your insecurities that you already have. Now,
mm,
always like piling on insecurities as we grow, because we have those ones that were developed like from childhood, and then we have those ones that were developed like as we got into like our teens, and then we
mm,
have insecurities that develop because of relationships with other people, and then
yes.
now you have these things that are piling on that will actually make you um I'm not gonna say feminist, but hate people because now you're
Yeah.
like, all these people are trash, but like if you were so nice, like people would not leave you. You get what I mean? I don't think
Yes, that's
people
true.
would want to lose like a good person who has like
Mm,
a healthy relationship with self.
mm, mm. Um,
yeah,
actually,
I think that's how you become the I don't need any one person.
Mm.
yes. Actually,
That's how you finally get to a point where you don't want to let anyone in because in your mind you like they all always leave and
mm,
you never actually because what one thing I know is like when you caught up in your own hurt uh and your own anger and your own bitterness, it's very hard to see past that, you know. Uh and I think a lot of people I can even say everyone who is like in that black hole, they know they have to let go.
mm,
But
mm,
uh, at the same time, I think it's like I don't want to let go of this because this helps me remember that like people will hurt you. So this is sort of now my shield because
mm,
like they feel like if they let go of all this hurt and anger and bitterness, then like they'll allow someone in again and like uh this will sort of like now leave them vulnerable to like hurt again.
mm.
So yeah, I think that's what I've noticed of not just the feminists but like men too, you know.
Yes.
uh like the commitment issues thing,
Mm,
it all stems from somewhere. It might not necessarily be like it was a romantic involvement that like hurt you. It might just be mother issues, like
Mhm.
we we talk so much about like daddy issues, but like we never actually focus on how a lot
What?
of men have mommy issues as well.
True.
So uh whatever might have happened in their childhoods or in their relationship with their mothers, uh it also tends to affect like their romantic relationships and like whether like they commit. And I think also like I could be wrong, but uh since your mom is sort of like generally the first woman on earth, like you get to know, you
Mm.
know, I think how men view like their moms sort of that's what informs their opinion of women.
Mm.
Yes, I can agree to that to an extent as well.
Yes.
Um.
So
Uh.
but now
Mhm.
you saying that uh a person with these deep rooted insecurities
Mhm.
would need therapy,
Mm.
you know.
Mhm.
uh I see a lot of insecure people running around on earth, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
Mm.
lots and lots and lots and lots of them. And
Mhm.
uh
But I feel like Paul, ne? I
yeah,
feel like everyone has insecurities. It's just that some
true.
people can't manage their insecurities where
That's
it
true.
becomes too much and then now it starts affecting things. But I feel like
Yes.
everyone has insecurities, and if you are aware of those insecurities, you can be like, okay, now I'm starting to get jealous and it's starting to affect
Mhm.
my relationship. Let me just pull back a bit, reflect and learn, and then go back. So I feel like you can never completely heal from insecurities. It's just learning how to manage them.
For me, I have found
Mhm.
things that like, okay, if I do this and I do this and I do this consistently, I am consistently able to be a sane person with like not just enough love for myself, but like left over with a surplus to give as well. So
Mhm.
uh whenever like I stray from these things and I stop doing them consistently, I also notice that okay, my my sense of self worth is also like diminishing. Now I start feeling
Mhm.
uh okay, like maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm not smart enough. I start getting like my moods are now inconsistent because like the things
Mhm.
I do to consistently keep me like the person I want to be to other people as well. Uh, I no longer do those things. Uh, so I totally agree what you're saying. I just went off a tangent and like this old age thing is genuinely catching up with me because I don't even know what was the point of this round anymore. But yeah, so like when I get in that space, for me, it's an indication that like I have strayed from the tools I have found to like get
Mm.
me to be this balanced person. But also for me,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
uh, heartbreak like influences all of us differently.
That's
So for
true.
me, like uh, the last time I got my heart broken was like what that's why I always say Hore, like I didn't actually get my heart broken. I just think I had my deficiencies exposed and like I finally took the time
Mm.
to see them. So
Mhm.
uh for me it was like you said, introspection or reflection. So it was only then was like, okay, I see what I lack. I lack here
Mm.
and here and here and here and here. And then like once
Mm.
I was able to identify those things, uh,
Mhm.
only then was I able to ask myself, okay, now how do I fix this? But I also
Mm.
recognize that like not everyone has the ability to do that. I
Good.
think I
Yes.
think
Yes.
I
That's a good
think
thing.
like it's very few of us who are actually able to. I guess we can call it self-medicate. You know,
Mm.
not everyone has the ability to do that in a positive, constructive way. That is why you see
Mm.
people turn to alcohol or substance abuse or
Mm.
other negative things because like they numb the pain, but like it's temporarily, you know, and
Mm.
you can't
Mhm.
continue to do those things consistently without like causing damage to yourself. Whereas I
Yes.
was able to find like because for me, like I came to a point where the question was because I think a lot like the one thing like I always tell people is uh if your happiness is locked up like in someone else or how they feel about you, that means like they have all the power because if they are unhappy or like they go, that means your happiness is gone along with them. Now you have
Mm.
to wait for them
Mm.
to come back with it for you to be happy again, you know. So
Yes.
in
Yes.
essence, you're not in control of you and your emotions and just how you feel about yourself, if that is it. So
If that's it.
the conclusion then was okay, so it cannot be in someone else and it's in me. So what is
Mm.
it inside
Mm.
of myself that like can cultivate like this happiness, that can cultivate like this feel good effect? Because if it's in me, that means it can never leave me, you know?
Yes.
So, but it's like I
Mm.
said, I
Mm-hmm.
don't, not everyone has the ability to like think that deeply. Uh,
Mm. Mm.
so, but like you said, you'd refer them to therapy and like you talked about role playing. But like,
Mm.
what are some other? Do you guys have like other simpler exercises or methods like that a person can like use at home to like sort of gain some sort of like understanding of self and how to like fix this problem in some way?
Um. Yes. There are other ways.
Mm,
Um. I can't say I know any. That the thing is with every almost problem you come to
mm,
into the office with, there is almost a guideline to treat that. So one would have to almost look at what is happening and what could I use to almost deal with this. So when I thought of perhaps we can almost do a simulation of a relationship, that's that's almost a technique we would use
mm,
uh, when we're trying to maybe work with couples or families, right? So it might also be helpful to actually deal with someone who has trust issues. So specific ones, I can't think of any at the moment. Uh, but yeah, there are a lot. There are a lot that one can do. That can learn.
And I feel like people can learn to be more open about their insecurities. Like it's all because I noticed now,
Mhm.
like for example, let me just give an example that we're getting old now. I feel like people my age, some are married, some have children already, and all of these things. And I know friends of mine who are like a lot older than me, but they don't have none of those things.
Mm.
And they sort of developed these insecurities that that stem from people asking them, oh, when are you getting married? Oh, when are you having children? And it sort of affects them, but no one knows that it does. So people say it as a not really a joke, but like people like asking for those things, like, ah, you're getting old now. Like, where's your child? So I feel like being more open about all of those things. For example, if we're teasing you about your big head,
I feel
you
triggered
should
now.
be like, I don't
Don't
like that.
trigger me about my big head.
Yeah, but I feel like you should really say, you know what, I don't like that. That makes me feel some type of way, and people will learn to sort of not do that, and it's gonna start affecting you. So I feel like people should start talking about their insecurities with their loved ones, like being open, like, and in that you'll find that maybe you'll start talking about where it comes from, because most of the time these things come from somewhere. And if you can deal with that cause, maybe it's a problem with your parents. If you have a chance, you'll talk to them and then maybe feel better. I feel like that's also therapy on its own.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, I feel like people should start being more open. And also, I feel like there's nothing wrong with cutting off people that intensify your insecurities. Like other people just intensify them like a whole bunch, and it's not a you thing; it's a them thing. But if they are affecting you in that way, I feel like you should cut them off, even if they are family. Try to fix first, but cut off. Mm.
I think Dino has raised two points. Remember, in the first question Paul asked was the foundations, those foundations that we can say one has a good relationship with self. So she raised the ability to self-reflect. So what I noted there was an ability to self-reflect is actually a good foundation. Very, very brilliant foundation. Now the second one is this one of actually being open to say that I don't like it when you say that to me. And that we would classify that as being assertive. Assertiveness is a very good trait to have in any relationship, to be able to really stand up for yourself, not necessarily being arrogant, but to say I don't like it when you make fun of my big ears, right? So yeah, I think you raised two good points there.
And I think like vulnerability generally uh I'm thinking as someone, if I'm dating you and like you are able to like open up to an extent, it helps create a more understanding partner, because now I understand like when like you do certain things or act in a certain way that like uh this is the root cause of it, because I think like a lot of us uh like we've already established that like we are people who all walk around with insecurities, but like when someone don't doesn't trust you or has trust issues and you don't understand why, and like you've not done anything remotely to like even warrant like them not trusting you, but like at least like if I know like what's the backstory, I think it makes for a more understanding uh partner in a relationship and a more patient one, because like it's like okay, because I think truth be told, uh what I've learned in my current relationship is like everyone, like once you break up, it's like okay, I'm gonna take time to heal and like rebuild myself and all that. But then like when you start dating again, like uh when certain things happen, you're gonna get like triggered, like because like it's easy to say you've healed and like that you are fine, but like get into a relationship again, and then you'll see just how much like of what you think you were like okay with, like just sort of like
Mm-hmm.
triggers you again, because like now you are used to like okay, from my previous relationship, when this happened, like this, like when this was happening, it meant this, you know. And like now you're in a
Mm-hmm.
relation, in a new relationship, and like you have to sort of unlearn like people's patterns of behavior, because like maybe
Mm.
you've attributed certain things, like maybe in your previous relationship, guy didn't answer your texts, and like it ended up that he was being unfaithful. So now you're in a relationship with me, and like maybe I'm even having network problems, and like I don't respond for 10 minutes, and now because of your past relationship, it's like that motherfucker is cheating, you know, he's with somebody
Mm.
else. And like
Mm.
it's warranted, because like in your experiences, like this pattern means this, you know.
Mm.
So obviously, like you, these are things that you're going to have to navigate in like your new relationships. I think even with friendships, like maybe your friend acted funny and like it meant something, and now like your friend this way is acting a bit off. And like what I've noticed is because like we humans are self-absorbed in general, like we tend to
Mm.
be in our own fields a lot. And sometimes, most of the time, especially when you're in relationships, we tend to think that like when something is off about the other person, it's something concerning the relationship. And you might find where like this person is struggling with other things, like, you know, like they're having financial problems, or something is not well at home. But because we are so uh, centered about us, and like us needing to be happy and whatnot and whatnot, maybe like when the
Mm.
person starts acting out, or like acting different, or is no more like consistent, we stop to consider that like it might not be what we think it is, because of like
Mm.
our previous experiences.
Experiences. Yes. Uh,
Yeah, which is why I feel like if you miss the step of building a good communication in any relationship you're gonna have, it's gonna be a
mm.
problem. Because those type of problems are caused by like a lack of a proper communication foundation. Because now I'm thinking that you cheating on me, but no, you just have your own problems. And then, and the thing is, yeah, the brain will make up so
Right,
many
Mm.
good at
things
that.
when that something is happening. And while you are dealing with a problem, so now I'm gonna accuse you of cheating, and you're gonna be feel so offended because it's like you don't even know what I'm going through. It's like, but I should know.
Mm.
You are my
Mm.
partner. I should
Mm.
know everything, you know. So I feel like if people like miss that step of like building proper
Mm.
communication and being able to talk about these things, it's gonna minimize a lot of problems. And I feel like again, focus on keeping relationships different because of their previous relationships and the patterns that they learned and everything that was done in the previous relationships, and they somehow wanna bring that to a new one with a completely different person, which in most cases does not work.
Mm.
So I feel like we should a be okay with certain things because some people are okay with like toxicity,
Mm.
and they always said like it's they're okay with it and they say this is fine. And then when they get to another relationship, they're like, yeah, but this person can do this and this and this. As long as they don't do this, then we
Mm.
good.
Mm.
So I feel like yeah, you're right. We need to unlearn, like stop holding on to things and bringing them to
The
new
places.
places. But communication will always remain like super
Mm.
important in any relation you have. Because like a small misunderstanding can make us divorce.
Mm.
It's like, but I thought you were doing this. And then he's like, no, but I thought you were doing this. It's like, no, if we spoke about it, like we would have gotten
Mm.
somewhere. So now we're busy thinking all of these things. And then now I run to my family and then they're like, yeah, he's cheating on you,
Mm.
girl. And then now it's a big ass problem that could have been solved in like
I,
Yeah.
I think
an easier way.
the most important thing you can ever ask someone when you start dating them is, why did your last relationship end? I think
True.
that like
Good.
just helps put things into context to okay, uh, where this person is potentially headspace wise, like you got
Mm,
cheated on. Okay, like if you got cheated on, I have a lot of male friends. Maybe is that now going to be a problem?
mm,
And things like that. I think like that question can inform so much uh,
mm,
moving forward as well. And I think what I've also noticed is when you keep like kids, but like we start dating in our teens mostly, like like most people, like if
mm,
you ask them or like when was your who was your like first love and all that, like they usually refer to someone in their teens, like I was 16 or whatnot,
mm,
and like
mm,
I feel like once, and I think that's what has happened in the world, and that's why like we have a lot of women just accepting toxic traits that men have, and a lot of men accepting toxic traits that women have. It's like once you date like enough people and like the same shit happens to you, it's sort of like,
mm,
especially if you started dating like in your teens or whatnot, it's like, oh, okay, like it's a normal thing, like maybe
mm,
uh, if you had five boyfriends and five of them abused you, your mind, I think your mind is more likely to like process it as like abuse is part and parcel of love. I think like most
true.
people
Mhm.
don't think of love as like this pure ball of positive energy. Like if you ask people now what
Mm,
love is, they'll say to you like, like love is wonderful at times and like, but like there's a bit of this and whatnot sprinkled in it, like cheating or whatnot. And
mm,
I think that is where the world is at. Like we've experienced something so constantly that like it's sort of become acceptable. And like now it's at a point where uh even like the future generations inherit like that idea of it.
mm, mm.
I think that's what happens. And like I think because of that, like it becomes very hard to build healthy relationships, and I think it's contributed to us having like so many broken families and
Mm.
all that jazz.
Yeah, I think we must not, um, or rather, we must just remember that when, for example, you got cheated in one
Mm.
relationship, that is a traumatic thing. It's a very traumatic experience to almost be cheated, or maybe you were physically or emotionally abused. It leaves, it's traumatic, and then it's gonna leave almost a
I
scar.
know, and like
So,
that's the thing for me. It's like
Mhm.
I think it's become such a norm thing that like people don't realize just how deep like the damage goes. Like, cause now
mm,
it's like uh every second post you see on social media is making a joke about it. Like, but now heard about Shimani, it's it's like we laugh
yes,
we,
yes,
we laugh about it, but like I've had
yes,
like I've had conversations with people about like the pain and trauma of like romantic relationships, and then like but we did
mm,
it
mm,
jokingly, and then like something happens that triggers them, and like we now having a deeper conversation, and now like this person is crying, and only now then I
mm,
realize, what, like damn, like you downplayed how much this person has hurt you and how much that has affected how you feel about yourself so much. I never knew that like to what extent like this person has hurt you and how it has affected you. I think like
Yeah.
that's a very very big problem that we have right now. It's like I guess it all goes back to like the us being honest thing and like talking about like this really hurts me. I don't like this. I don't like
True.
that. Like so now everyone is like trying to convince the world that like they really don't give a fuck. I think we live in
That's
that
true.
time where like
True.
we are trying to prove so much that like we are okay and that we're savage and that like I've heard people proudly say or like nna pelo tša rena sala ba di roba gale re shwele ka moa we are dead inside, you know. It's like you can't hurt someone who doesn't have a heart. Like these these
Yes.
are now the badges of honor we wear.
Yes. And surprisingly, it could also be a trauma response not to actually feel pain. Think about maybe paramedics or police officers who see these horrible incidences all the time to the point where they say, "Oh, I don't feel anything anymore." The reality is that it's not normal. So to these people who say, "Well, I don't even feel pain anymore," perhaps they've almost masked that pain with something else. But maybe at some point when everything starts to open up, that's when you'll see this person is actually still very much hurt over what once happened, and they're just masking it maybe by being involved in many relationships at the same time, something like that.
Yeah, that's true. Which and it catches up to you like sometimes even in old age, and you find that now you're starting to like really deal with things that happened like 500 years ago, because all this time you were just trying to cover them up basically instead of dealing with them. Because I feel like people who don't feel pain sort of just cover problems and they never deal with them, and they're somewhere in where they don't leave. So at some point if it really does come back to you. And some people, especially when they start raising kids now, because it's like ish, some of those things are gonna like now start going to
Yeah.
your kids because you are a certain type of person. You can't like you have a heart, like everyone does. You can't like not feel pain. Like you said, it's not normal. So one way or another, it's gonna
Yeah.
affect you, and you can call yourself savage all you want, but we all know ukuthi bako hurtile, and you need to heal from that shit. You can't just cover it up and live like
I find it
nothing is
very
happening.
funny. I find it funny that we've actually created, about our herder. It's actually very funny. I find it.
But like I think is that pride, like the refusal to acknowledge pain, like in that instance, like I'm not gonna show this person that like they hurt me deeply, or I'm not gonna show the world that like this thing has affected me. Is that can like we say or like that's just your pride making you do some dumb shit?
Yes. Or
Hmm?
yes. I thought you wanted to ask another question on
No,
that.
no, no. I just wanted to ask that. Like, do we
Yes.
attribute that as like you just need to swallow your pride and like just crumble and cry it out and feel, allow yourself to feel. Otherwise,
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
I think at some point, yes, we can literally say this is a matter. This is a pride. This is just a pride parade.
Mm,
Or it could be that thing of I really don't want to look vulnerable because almost we've made vulnerability look like weakness. I don't want to look weak.
mm.
This person will see me as weak, and then they'll repeat this thing, and once they know my weakness, they'll keep playing at it. So it could be pride, yes, or it could be this thing of I want to be the I don't give a fuck kind of a thing. image that I'm trying to show out there.
And I also feel like it's also like the desensitivity of the world. Like the world is just not a sensitive place. So how am I gonna allow myself to like crumble in a world that is gonna make fun of
Yeah.
like my pain? So why would I do that? I'm gonna play like I'm strong and cry myself to sleep every night. So I feel like the world is just not a sensitive place because I cry. Yo, bang hurting let show me, and you know, you guys turn it into a joke. Like you see, even now you guys are
it just
laughing. You see?
it just sounds
It really sounds funny.
Yeah, but
man.
that's how hurt,
Yeah.
guys. Yo,
It really sounds funny.
But I
Yeah.
think like that goes back
hi.
to all the way in kindergarten, like when uh like if you had a big head and like someone in class made a joke about it and everybody laughed. I think like from there already like it just starts to inform a person that like you know what, the world is not like very sympathetic to like you know people's emotions and feelings. I think
Mm,
like it
mm,
starts already to build up from there. Because
mm,
like I think we've all probably had an instance where like someone yeah, someone said or did something to us in public that humiliated
mm,
us or hurt us, and like everyone laughed at us, and like it makes you like crawl deeper into yourself and say like I'm not, you know, putting myself out there like that anymore. You
mm,
sort of like start
mm,
being a person that like tries to like lurk in the shadows. You know, like
mhm,
yeah, I don't want people to focus on me because like
mm.
anytime anyone has ever like had the microscope on me, it was to hurt me.
Yes. Yeah, I think it has to start there, you know. It starts there and then it kind of almost
But like
builds into this
saying
character that you
if it's kids doing that,
mm,
like wait, does this come from home? Because if that's the case, then that means like the world comprises of a bunch of mean parents. Is it that? Or what is it? Or is it just that thing where, because I think a lot of like, okay, and we've gone like off topic a bit like now, but like I guess it still ties into like self love. But like
mhm,
a lot of people who like tend to highlight like other people's maybe like less attractive features or whatnot, or try to
mhm,
humiliate other people is like, so it's because like they don't feel good about themselves. So like they need other
mm,
people to feel the way they feel. Or like if I
mm,
feel like this, I'm gonna make you feel worse about yourself, you know? Or
mm,
like if I feel like I look ugly, I'm gonna make you feel like you look uglier than me.
mm, mm,
Yeah, which is unfortunately very dominant in women because women do it a lot. Women do
Mm,
it a lot,
yeah.
especially to each other. It's like you find that person who will never say, "Oh, I don't know, you look
mm,
nice today." They'll always say like, "Ah, your dress is nice, but you gained weight."
Mm.
So it's like, ah, nah, I'm just say I look nice. I knew when I got out of the door that I look
mm,
cute. Just I look cute, you know. Stop trying to make it, you know. And then you find maybe them talking about a person, another girl, usually, because we're not gonna be picking on guys. Like,
Mm,
can't be
mm,
doing that. And then they'll say she's pretty, but
Mm.
ah, she's very dumb. It's like, no, baby
Yes.
girl, stop it. Like, yeah, people are just insecure, and in order for you not to focus on my insecurity, we need to direct it to
Yes.
someone else,
Projection.
and that's just how it works. Unfortunately, it
And,
makes
and
it
and I think yes,
process.
we learn it from somewhere. It can be our parents. I think it will go back to self-esteem. I have a low self-esteem. I want to bring your low your I want to bring your self-esteem down. And perhaps my mom also had self-esteem issues, and then she did it on me. What am I going to do? I'm going to probably pass it. Probably going to try to pull someone down when I get to school. So it's almost like
Yeah,
a cycle.
Cause
exactly.
like
Yeah, and a lot of like raise their kids
Mm,
busy comparing them. I feel like that also causes like a lot of problems because I was compared to someone my whole life, so I feel like I need to always
mm,
be on top of the game and always better than everyone else
mhm, mhm,
around
yeah, I
me.
think like we need to let kids be individuals. Just because you think
mm,
like you got the blueprint in like maybe the firstborn, now you're busy like saying where your sister used to get hundreds or your sister did this or whatnot, whatnot.
mm,
So yeah, I
Yeah,
think like because parenting is like that, like it's not a one size fits all type of thing. You need to like
that's true.
uh tailor make your parenting for every child based on like their personality, like they
Absolutely.
respond to different things, you
yeah,
know.
Mm,
And like
mm,
people forget that like us dark skinned people, like you're only coming in fashion now. Like they go to insult to like dark skinned people was like that they dark skinned. They
mhm,
made fun of
mhm,
dark skinned people for the longest of time. And like it
mm,
it it was like I think it was like a normal thing in families where like even kids like felt like because like people say these things so casually, like they
mhm,
were made to feel like okay, light skinned kids are pretty, as dark skinned people are not so pretty, and like that also
mm.
has caused a lot of like
yeah,
self esteem and insecurity issues as well.
That's true.
So
yeah. That's true. That's
mm,
true. And even with the body thing, like we are this type of body, it's like, yeah, skinny people, where are you guys now? So it's like, I don't know. People should really stop doing that. And like you said, we are a bunch of self-absorbed people who have an inability of realizing
Mm,
that things are hurting other people. We're always focusing on ourselves. So you may be like, mara woman too and stuff, and not even realize that
mhm,
that is
whatever.
gonna hurt that child, and they're gonna have self-esteem issues for the rest of their lives, and they're gonna grow up like wanting to sort of change themselves
mm,
because they will never be pretty. Does not matter how pretty they are, they will never feel pretty because of what you said like
mm.
5 million years ago. So it's like you have to stop. But I feel like loving yourself sort of cancels all of those things out because you're like, nah, man, I'm not gonna listen to what one delay with the skew nose
But
was saying about me. I know myself. This is who I am, and I don't care what
I would have
anyone else is
asked
saying about me.
Dineone,
So,
how do you learn to love yourself
mhm.
if you've been getting weird or mean comments for almost the rest for almost when you were a child until now? How do you begin the process of saying now I want to start loving myself? Mm,
It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be really difficult, especially like when you have like layers and layers and layers of like just comments
mm,
like built on you. But I think you really have to
Yeah,
watch Ian la,
because
watch
I
um Stan post, like just
mm,
read motivational books. Like you must start and also start surrounding yourself with people who are
I
complimenting you. I
think
feel like you need to
mhm,
change a lot of things around your life.
the
And I
first
think
step
also
for
helps.
me, like specifically, because like I've dealt with everything that like we've spoken of today. So I feel like for me the first step was uh who am I? I asked myself like currently who do I think I am, and like what informed this identity, you know? Was this am I this person because someone else said that, or is it something I got through like self-discovery, you know? And I learned in that process that like the most like 95% of who I thought I was like just because someone else said so, you know? It's like okay, like you this, and then you just like wear that jacket, you know, for for the longest of time. So the first part for me was that like, okay, who am I? Or and like what informed this identity, and like letting go of that, you know, and then being like, okay, now that I'm at a place where like I'm not that, but I don't know who I am still, you know, and then like the journey of self, like honestly, only really then it started, and like that helped me like find me inside of me rather than like based on like people's observations of or like things that they put on me. So yeah, you're right. It's a very lengthy process. I think that it's a lifelong journey, honestly. Like just unlearning things and like learning new things about yourself and then like evolving out of that. It's a lifelong journey. But I think a lot of us
Is.
like because we are, and like that's the thing for me, like when since birth, even like you know, like finding a romantic partner is something that's like always like so heavily emphasized on, especially like in the church environment and like all of that. It's so heavily like especially like for instance when you're a girl child, you can't cook, who's gonna marry you? You can't do this, who's gonna marry you? Or like as a guy, like you can't even fix a light bulb, who's gonna marry you? Stuff like that. It's like everything is centered around like we are preparing you for this thing, whereas no one actually takes the time to like, because now for me like that's like what I do with my like younger teenage friends, like when they transition into that age, like okay, like now you are starting to be interested in boys and all that. My first thing has always been like those are always going to be there, you know, but like more than that, if I can get you to take interest in yourself, you know, to be consumed by you more than anything else, like who are you, you know, like and like to enjoy actually learning things about yourself, then uh I'm actually helping you be in a position where you will be able to like actually have healthier relationships and actually be able to identify like the ones you should stay away from, because I think like that's also like something that knowledge of self helps you identify, because as long as you know what's your energy, then like you know how to repel or like shut out the things that like messes with your peace and uh your happiness and all that. But like when you don't know what gives you peace or what brings you peace, when you don't know what is peace, when you don't know who you are, it's like anything will go. That's like
That's
some people like hop from relationship to relationship to relationship all their life. Like there are some people who like can't remember when last were they alone ever since they started dating. So where have you gotten the time to know yourself? It's just an
Yeah.
indication that uh you need to attach yourself to someone to find to be to have an identity. You are always Mang Mang's person.
Mm.
Shoo! Papa! No, my boy. Oh, he let. He got the content.
Surely that's also
Anyway,
true.
enough of the serious stuff. Uh yeah, they'll heard me.
Because Bafao
Shimoni.
heard.
Uh so let me read today's uh thing. It goes like this. Please, can you make me anonymous? So I complained.
Can you just start?
These people are married. So I complained to my husband that our sex life has become boring. I told him how we used to do it like crazy. Fast forward one evening, I get home from work to find my husband home, kneeling on the floor naked. The kids were not around. He told me he took them to Granny's. He started barking at me. I asked him what he was doing, and he told me he was a dog and he wanted to smash. To cut the story short, we did it like dogs. You can use your imagination. The following day, when I came back from work, I found him wearing orange overalls. He told me we were in jail. He asked me to dress. He dropped a soap bar and commanded me to pick it up. As I was picking it up, he put it from behind and rolled me hard. He made me sing prison songs as he. The third day, I found him waiting by the corner of our lounge. He offered me 400 Rand and undressed me. He told me I was a prostitute. He even used a condom to protect himself. He spanked me so hard, I struggled to sit properly the following day. The fourth day, I get home and I see smoke coming from the house. I didn't even go inside to see what was going on. I reversed the car and went to my mom's place. I called and lied to him. My mom was sick. I'm starting to think my husband is on drugs. And I'm very worried about him.
But you are complaining about the dryness, my sis, and guy is trying really his to
Mm.
not make it dry anymore. Hey, Marlena, he's doing
Yeah.
well.
Is this a case of be careful what you wish for?
Yeah, it is. Honestly, it is. Because wow, yo, this you are in prison this night, this day you are a prostitute. It's like no, you can't be doing this. It is. It is. And I feel like people should really stop. Like, if I feel like our sex life is boring, maybe I should do something to
Yeah,
Mm.
try to
because sometimes it's like the
make it
other
different.
person doesn't feel that.
And then it's okay.
And perhaps
Yeah.
communication. I mean, communicate what you want. This guy was doing a lot
Yeah.
of things.
And what if on that day when there was
I
smoke in
think he
the
was a
house, he
fireman.
was,
I think that was gonna
I
be the
don't
role.
even know what he was.
I
Ah.
what
Oh,
feeling to
fine.
I am here to rescue my
Yeah.
damsel in
Mm.
distress. But I have to give him points for listening and tried.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah,
Oh, he did.
he listened and he tried and
Nah.
maybe just tone it down a little. I feel like he could have
Mm.
done one it maybe once a month or every week and he would have been
Mm.
fine. So
Mm.
um the next one I'm just gonna paraphrase. Uh this girl says her boyfriend cries every time after he ejaculates after he ejaculates when they're having sex. She cries. He cries. So she wants to know what could possibly be the reason that this happens.
Mm.
Because I've heard of instances like this
Yeah.
is not the first one I hear about. I've heard people
Guys,
say guys there are guys that cry after Like they nut.
Mm.
What could possibly be the reason for you to cry?
Because I don't have the proper tools to like back it up. I'm not gonna
No, but
say
like
anything
in
because
her
I don't
thing,
know.
like everything is great. Like the sex is great and everything. Everyone like she comes, he nuts, but like once he has reached his climax, after that he cries. It's not like a thing where like I fall short, in terms of package or whatnot. It's just like after I nut, I cry.
Um, isn't it maybe because it was an emotional experience? Maybe, or maybe it was so good that he just became emotional.
I want me some of that. I want to cry too now. I never thought of it like that.
Then it could be that it's so good that
Yeah,
it makes
it
me.
makes sense. Maybe it was so good that it became so emotional.
Oh my word. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's like that.
So
Like
wrong.
maybe he's just never had him some that good.
Because we have to ask, was he crying in previous relationships or not?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And does he cry when he jerks off?
Or it could be because you are not her. So it's like, it's not
Yeah.
label.
Maybe it's not her. Maybe it's
I
like
want
it's not as good
label.
as.
You never know.
Y'all are nasty for that one. Wow. Because like I've heard this story so many times, like from different people. Even I've started to wonder like what brings a dude to that point where just like yeah.
Cries. Usually, I would hear it. Usually, I would hear it when they would make joke like he cried, afterwards. And I'm like, he cried, So I always thought it was a joke, A man who cries. They would say a man who cries is a weak man, or it would be almost a joke. They're making fun of someone who's probably weak. Like, when you're so weak, you'd cry afterwards. And I thought it was just a joke, and it never happens.
Kantiyo, it really does. And every time guy cries, I don't know if I'm honestly emotionally strong to deal with that type of person. I feel like I'm also super immature, so I'd probably be like, I'd probably laugh at him or something, but it's just gonna be a weird experience. I'm gonna be like, what the fuck? And the problem with me is that like I can't pretend with my face. Like everything that I'm feeling shows on my face. So
It's gonna be
yeah,
bad for the guy.
it's not gonna work. Oh,
Unless if it's too
yeah,
good.
it's gonna be
And
super
that's
bad for the guy
when you can laugh
because
and he's gonna appreciate you laughing.
No, I wouldn't appreciate
oh
you
yeah,
laughing at me if I cried.
I,
No, don't laugh at me. Hug me, hold me, spoon me. Don't laugh at me.
bruh,
Yeah.
like I'm just imagining it, ne? And like this dude like literally cries, and another kind of cry that I imagine in my head is like that ugly cry, like I'm at a funeral type of cry, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna
No,
be like,
it's
I'm not
it's
mature
something
enough for that.
else. I think that's about it for today's episode. Happy birthday to Dini.
So he must buy you chocolate
We hope you
every
had a
day.
good one on the 11th.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday to Dini.
I don't want to air her
She is.
business. She will come back and give us the D.
Good night. Good night.
See
It was a
y'all.
nice one.
Yeah, don't let them hurt you tomorrow.
Baskaba heard that